Okay, so I'm gonna start by admitting that I am not the biggest fan of controversy. I usually try to avoid it, but well, every so often I don't see a problem in dabbling in it. Kind of like this episode, because I feel like whatever it is that I'm about to discuss is going to seem a bit controversial and might split some people. But you know what? It's the end of the year, so why not rattle a few cages here and there, all right? Make people question their own identity for a little bit. And for me to do this, I kind of have to start by almost sounding like I'm attacking women, even though I'm not. And I know there's a lot of my listeners that are women. It's just someone has to bring up some of this shit. I can't be nice to y'all all the time, even though sometimes y'all don't think I am. But anyways, before I can get into any of that, I first need to start with a proper intro, because where are my manners? Welcome to the Breaktime Podcast, where I talk about love, sex, and relationships from a guy's perspective, as well as a bunch of other guy shit. The man on the mic is Sir Denver B. This is a shorter, less editing or instrumentally version of the podcast that I usually like to do whenever I'm on break, which usually entails me speaking about things that I've been thinking about, either during the season or sometimes even off the season, where I was doing the full episodes and I was like, you know what? If this won't fit into the regular episodes, then let me just fit it into a much shorter one. And in this particular case, I have a clip from a guy who was saying that, if you take a lot of the fucking out, there's very little that women have to offer. And you know what? It's not like I'm doing this to be controversial. I'm doing this to actually spark the conversation on whether we might have actually lost it as a generation or as a people, as far as dating and interacting with someone and offering more is actually concerned. Because dude was actually talking about something particularly interesting as far as what dude was saying. And for context, the guy's name on IG is B Money, and he was on a certain podcast where he was busy, kind of questioning whether he should be talking to quite a number of babes, because it doesn't seem like they have that much to offer. But for me to give context, or at least for me to kind of give a quick breakdown on this entire thing, let me just let the clip play, then I can give my thoughts on it. So, without further ado...
If you stop for a bit, you realize most girls don't have shit to offer.
I disagree, bro.
Let me finish. It's not that they don't have shit to offer. They won't offer you shit.
Do you think that's because of how you make them feel?
No, it's because of how they feel you should make them feel. If you go out and you meet a girl right now and she's attractive, that's the main reason you're going to talk to that girl, innit?
100%.
She's nice. Cool. Let's say you do what I do. I just exchange socials. If you don't initiate conversation, she's not going to say nothing to you. So she's not doing any effort to show you that she's interested in you or trying to even find out about you. If you go to Dominican Republic where the bare girls are prostitutes, they'll even come and say, hey, how are you? How's your night going? Yeah. Because they know there's other girls. Even if they think you're coming for sex, they know there's other girls. They're going to try and show you, hey, you're cool. What's up? I'm not saying that you should be a prosy, but you gotta show interest too. Outside of you just looking good, what incentive is there for me to really want to talk to you? Because if I'm not trying to you, there's really no reason for me to go out on my way to talk to you. Mm-hmm. And the only reason why I did that is FOMO. I met you, you were buff, and I didn't want to leave it at that. So I was like, oh, what's your Insta? Don't you think you should make an effort to get to know the guy that you like? Why do you feel like it's so offensive for you to show a human being that you are interested? Because you have a vagina. That's it. That's my point, is that a lot of girls, even if they have something to offer, don't offer anything because they think the onus is on you because you are pursuing them. But if your pursuit, the purpose of your pursuit is sexual, and you no longer have that sexual, it's not important to you, you won't bother chasing anyone because most of them have not shown you anything that's worthy of being chased.
What's something that would be an example of being worthy of being chased then?
Good conversation.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Particularly interesting take, and considering that the guy went off like that, I knew that it was gonna be something that might actually split some hairs. Some people might feel one way, some people might feel the other. And it was one of those things that I really did want to talk about, at least before the year ends. And I hate to say it, and I know that this is going to sound like a controversial take, but dude actually has a pretty good point. There's a lot of y'all that think that y'all that will kind of rely on this bit where, oh, so-and-so is interested in me. Let him make the moves. Let him do this. Let him do that. And y'all are barely bringing anything, to the point where I'm like, honestly, like there's some of you that are just boring, minus the fact that y'all might look good and y'all might be potential smash. Like there's a lot of women out here that guys usually just look at and would not look at doing anything with them minus smashing, just mostly because there's nothing much else they seem to offer on the table. And this isn't going to turn into a tables argument per se, but it is going to be a discussion on the fact that there's a lot that's been lost to the day and age of today where people can smash pretty quickly, and the boundary between you meeting someone and you banging someone is very, very fine. Like the fact that people are having more sex now and people are having sex much earlier and much faster now has killed a lot of the quote-unquote value that someone brings whenever it comes to approaching someone and wanting to be with someone, for a particularly long period of time. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you deciding to smash someone and leaving it at that because there's nothing else that you'd want from them is entirely a bad thing. It's just, back in the day, like, before people got to the point of having sex, like, you'd have to put in work. You'd have to show your value. And as you're busy trying to show value as a guy, you're also kind of gauging the person that you're dealing with, so that when it gets to the point where you realize that this is someone that may not have anything between the ears, like, you can be like, okay, she's pretty, but it's not like I'd want to have anything solid. Because, like, 30, 40, maybe even 50 years ago, when people were banging, it wasn't just for the sake of banging. Like, you were banging someone with the intention that you are going to be having a thing with this person for a while, and it was probably going to be serious. So it wasn't just a sex, even though that was the intention for a lot of guys. But, the idea that this is someone that you're going to be having a thing with for a while was something that would also drive you towards thinking, okay, yes, she's a fine babe, but is there anything more to that? But anyways, I feel like I've taken a dump on the babes for a bit, and I know it might seem like I have something against women, but that's not really the case. And I know it might not seem that way right now, but let me try and make it seem like this is an equal opportunity shit talk, because it's not like guys are doing that much better either. Like, I miss the days where you had to riz up a babe. Like, where riz was something that would get you the shorty, not just you looking good or you having a ton of money or some shit like that. Like, I miss the days when, as a guy, you had to show that you had game. Like, you knew how to talk to a babe and how to seem and sound interesting so that you can bag a babe. Because it forced guys to actually think. It forced guys to think through, what it is that this babe's interests are, what it is that she likes, what it is that she doesn't like, how to treat a woman so that she likes you. Like, it forced guys to think beyond just trying to bag a babe and smash, which I think a lot of guys are doing right now. And the easiest way of showing proof of this is to take roughly about the same concept that this guy was talking about and try to implement it, but with guys. In that, imagine you as a guy, if you're a guy listening to this, but imagine you as a guy without your dick. So every single thing that is influenced by your dick, so you being horny, you wanting to smash a babe, like, you have none of that. And then you're basically exposed to women. How are you going to act? And there's a lot of guys that won't speak to women, that will actually rarely interact with a woman because they do not see much value there. Case in point, there was the episode that I did, I think it was like 2, maybe 3 episodes ago, where I was talking about some guy that helped a guy move into this nice apartment in Kileleshwa, which is, a pretty nice place to live in. You can basically call it the suburbs, or, like fairly mid to high end, depending on where you get a place. And the guy was moving into a 2-bedroom apartment because he wanted to have one room as a gaming room. And this guy has no girlfriend. He does not have anyone that he's really trying to talk to like that, all that seriously. And he doesn't really see the use in it because he has a bunch of pocket pussies, and if he really, really wants some, he can just pay for a babe to come and he can lay some pipe. And you look at it, there's a lot of guys that are like that. They do not see much value in interacting with the opposite sex besides for the sex, which I find to be a little bit concerning. All right. But all in all, like, if most guys didn't have their dick as a driving force, a lot of them would fail today as far as interacting with the opposite sex. But in that, can I say that it's entirely our fault as people? Yes and no. Partially, I feel it's on one end people trying to overvalue themselves in that they see themselves as the prize, or they see themselves as a group as the prize. So like women will say, oh, women are the prize, or guys will say that men are the prize, or they'll see themselves individually as the prize. And essentially when it gets to that point where everyone feels like people should be coming to talk to them and not the other way around, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, so if I reach out, then it's going to be an issue. And don't get me wrong, like, it's not like you valuing yourself highly is a bad thing. It's just when it comes to cold approaching and conversation, it's basically almost like a muscle. So if you don't learn how to work on it, how to improve it, it's something that can go easily over time. So over the years, because people aren't approaching, or should I say cold approaching, because people aren't trying to interact with strangers and trying to build up conversation, you find that there's so many people that actually have shit conversation skills out here. So they'll always complain about the other side, yet they themselves actually have no content in their heads, or just lack the skill of having good conversation. And I feel like if we could change how we approach a lot of the dating and a lot of the casual situations, and kind of make it like a sex less or a sex later as far as mentalities go, we might actually have a chance of reversing such a thing. And let me try and explain it like this. If people knew that they would have to put in more work into getting to know the person before they can smash them, I feel like people would invest more into learning how to speak well, into learning how to build up good conversation, such that if it's improving their knowledge base, then they can. If it's staying up to date with trending topics and issues, then they could. If it's just listening to the other person, then they would probably do that. And I feel like that would improve a lot of our relationships in general. Because the way people are operating out here, much as they'll complain about, oh, the dating market is shit, oh, sijui soko ni chafu, considering that there's a lot of people that are going into things with their private parts first, or they're looking at stuff as, oh, how can I get to smash someone super fast? And the other side is like, oh, how can I get the most out of this person without having to smash them? It's like, it just pushes people to this point where their conversation skills, their ability to actually retain conversation and offer more than just the sex, kind of starts to seem a bit lackluster, because they haven't practiced enough. They haven't offered it to a point where it's like, even though it's not just the conversation and there's more to it than that, it's not like you're used to offering it well enough that you can actually do a particularly good job. And so at the end of the day, every side will be complaining that this side doesn't do this or this side doesn't do that. And in reality, there's a lot that we don't offer that, our parents and our grandparents used to offer back in the day, that we probably should start offering if we want to look like good potential options. And I've spoken about conversation a lot, and that is a particularly key point, but it even goes beyond that. There's the whole provision and protection side for men. There's the whole cooking and cleaning side and being a nurturer for women and being supportive, that you find a lot of people seem to be avoiding or not having much of nowadays, to the point where it just seems like each side is complaining that the other side is giving bare minimum or below bare minimum. And in reality, we need to start working on ourselves and what we offer as individuals and as a group before we can start going to complain that the other side doesn't do shit. Because at the end of the day, you can complain all the live long day about, oh, men don't do this or women don't do that. But if you don't offer the highest quality, or if you don't offer the same things from your end that you wish the other side could offer from their end, then essentially all you're doing is just being the pot calling the kettle black. Because if you're busy complaining out here that, oh, men don't offer this, men don't do this, men aren't giving even bare minimum nowadays, and yet even you yourself don't give anywhere close to the bare minimum. And I'm saying this because a lot of women like complaining about bare minimum, but they will never do any of the shit that their mothers did to bag their dads. Then who the fuck are you to come and complain about bare minimum? You don't even offer that shit. So maybe, if I can quote from the Bible, maybe if we got ourselves to the point where we would remove the logs from our eyes before we could remove the specks from other people's eyes, then maybe we would have a lot better of a chance at making things a lot better for ourselves in the dating market. And to kind of conclude all of this, what I am trying to say is, you thinking you're the prize, or you thinking that you're better than everyone else, so much so that everyone else should give to you and you shouldn't give to them, will never win you any favors. It probably hasn't won you any favors, even though it seems like it did, probably not for the reasons you think. So even if you think it did, I hope you remember that the highest quality doesn't come from the barest of minimums. So, you know what? You do you. But don't come here complaining that you're not getting shit if you're not giving anything that is of good quality. Although, with that said, maybe I might be wrong about this, and maybe it's just a guy that is very, very bitter about women for no reason, and I could be wrong about this entire thing. Either way, I want your thoughts on it. The DMs are open on IG, it is at the breaktime_podcast. On Facebook, it is at the breaktime podcast. On X, it is at Bagaka the D. And on Bluesky, it is at the breaktimepod.bsky.social. Thank you so much for listening all the way till the end, and I will catch you guys on the next break.